Mansha, being president of RPU, and today we're going to get to know about more self-advocacy, what it means to be a queer person in school and academia as well as professional spaces, and now it's time to be real. So Mansha, thank you so much for coming. If you want to do a little introduction for everybody.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for having me. My name is Mansha Rahman. I use they, them pronouns. I am the president of Rainbow Pride Union. This is my second year as president. I was a former event coordinator, and yeah, that's essentially who I am.
Yes, great. Thank you so much, Mansha. So we're going to start with the first question. So how has the Rainbow Pride Union contributed to creating a safe and inclusive space and affirming space for LGBTQ plus students?
Yeah, Rainbow Pride Union, so we've been around since 1971. We are the oldest LGBTQ plus organization on Binghamton's campus. Essentially what we've transformed the club into is more of a political advocacy and educational club. What we really try to do is educate the larger campus community on LGBTQ rights, sort of like the different components of the LGBTQ plus community. And a lot of what we do is like little events, educating different people on different parts of the community. So like something we did recently was button making on intersex awareness, and so we talked about intersex people. We've also done a lot of stuff with like activism. We try to do some stuff as well with like teaching people about the different pride flags and all those things. So, and we are an open space for all. We welcome anyone into our space, and so what we've done to try to make this campus like a safe and affirming environment for LGBTQ individuals is sort of like teach people about the identities that we might not be learning about, like in classes, online, like stuff that needs to be talked about more. So that's really what we try to do as a club.
I think that's all great because I think education is very important. And like, I think it's always good to not always just assume maybe some people might have. Like, I think especially in regards to queer topics, as someone who also works in spaces like that, we can't always assume someone might not be for it. It might be a lack of education. So I think the work you guys do is really incredible.
Thank you.
So we're moving on. How does, like, this is kind of a loaded question, but take it as part by part if you want to, but how do conversations at RPU kind of help students understand like the systematic barriers that they may face in professional spaces? And how does that kind of awareness help them build their confidence, self-advocacy and pride when they have to, enter the job force when it comes to maybe like a full-time job or internship opportunities?
Yeah, Rainbow Pride Union itself, we try our best to like show people what they might have to deal with like in the real world. We don't do too much in terms of like talking about like advocacy like within themselves or like in the workforce, but we do try to show them like, hey, these are different people that you may work with, you may be one of these types of people, and this is essentially what you can do on your own to help you affirm your identity in the workplace. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to people who are queer and in the workplace and being out or not out as queer or trans, any of those like labels. And so what we just really try to do is make them feel safe in their own identity, and we try to encourage them to also speak up about their identities, because really the only way that we know we can get people to unlearn like certain biases that they grew up with around queer and trans people is sort of like learning about them. So what we try to do is be like, hey, like if you don't know about these things and you're maybe you feel uncomfortable being around a queer person or trans person, like we are a space where you can learn about those people and where we can educate you on those people. And yeah, that's like essentially what we try to do is build people's confidence through education and trying to motivate them to educate the peers and individuals around them.
And I think that's just even if you don't like have the like not like specific goal in regards to specifically professional like career and stuff like that. I think those skills are transferable because you have it in academic spaces, but that can also transfer to like professional spaces, because there are people that probably don't know either, even in like when you go as an adult in professional spaces. So I think that's really good that there's still that building of confidence that's still like applicable to any situation, not just in like the campus or in like a classroom wing or like a lecture hall situation. It can be anywhere, which is I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I've even like seen people who've like consistently attended our events like become a little bit more outspoken like during our events and participate more. And I think even then I just see this like slow like confidence build in people and their ability to just like speak out loud and be able to like volunteer their thoughts. Because one of the things I really try to encourage is like, even if what you think you're saying isn't like the best answer or like is something that maybe somebody's already said, like I do try to motivate people to say like, hey, like it's also great to just agree with people or show like your opinion on these things. And if you want to share your thoughts on these things but you want to know if those things are right or wrong. Like, we are an environment where you can figure those things out.
Yeah, so it's very much like every voice matters, no matter how small
exactly,
it's all helpful.
Yeah.
Cool. So number 3, how has being part of RPU from going from events coordinator to president for 2 years, I think, right?
Yeah.
Kind of helped you reflect on your own identity and kind of help show up in your academic or even professional life?
Yeah, I do a lot on campus, like personally speaking. I used to work at the Q Center. I worked there for 3 years. I've worked in a lot of places around campus. I worked at the food co-op. I worked with 20 to 1. I was an orientation advisor, blah, 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 all these different things. All of those things in RPU, what they have done for me is honestly just put me in leadership positions where I learn how to like lead and how to help, you know, be the leader of like a large group of people. So like in RPU specifically, I started out as an event coordinator in my sophomore year. So I was like spring of like 2024. And what that taught me was a lot of like how to handle budgets and like how to coordinate all these different details. You know, like we have drag queens, we have performers, we have all these services that we have during our big events. Like we have Second Chance Prom in the spring. It's gonna be on March 1st this year. This is me promoing. But we have like big events, and so learning how to deal with that and also like communication is like probably the largest skill or like the most refined skill that you're gonna need in any workplace you do work in. And so learning how to communicate like, hey, this needs to be done to like my other event coordinator or to like the president, whatever. When I became president, I realized that I was now in a leadership position where I was gonna have to essentially lead like a larger group of people. Our e-board now is like 14 members, whereas when I first started, it was like 4 members. So like what I made sure to do as president is grow our e-board, make sure that we have a bunch of people who are willing to be a part of this club. And really what it's helped me with is just like knowing how to communicate, knowing how to lead a group. You know, it is a lot of work and you do need a lot of skills. Like you need to be able to talk in front of a large group of people, you need to be able to speak confidently, you need to be able to explain things to people over and over again. You need to be able to essentially know how to delegate tasks, which is like the biggest thing when it comes to being president. So that's like those are all things that I've learned in my like few years as president, which I'm really thankful for. Yeah.
And all those skills will definitely help you later on as well.
Yes.
And it's just like it's a lot of like interdisciplinary mixing, and also just shows that I think you sound like an incredible leader, but also like as a team player, because that's the whole point of working as a unit rather than just one person doing everything.
Exactly.
Great. I think that's synergetic kind of vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Next question would be, as president of RPU, so this might be kind of similar, but how do you kind of envision the organization creating kind of a stronger, even though you've been already doing incredible work building that bridge, but just a stronger bridge between like career identity, advocacy, and professional development? I know you've clarified you don't really do professional development specifically, but I think as you were talking about like the skills you help build like confidence up for the people in your e-board or just general members or even with yourself, I think that could also be applicable. So feel free to answer that through whatever you think is applicable or appropriate.
Yeah, as president of RPU, I think that we could still do a lot in terms of collaborating with other offices and people like on campus. I really envision the club like we are a political club. Like we do a lot with like LGBTQ rights and like all the things that we believe in and like focus on, and we have a really large vision for the club. I think that as long as the club stays in the realm of like making sure that we are honing in on educating people on LGBTQ rights, I'd love to like collaborate with like Fleischman to like bring someone in from Fleischman and sort of like talk about being out in the workplace or maybe the barriers that queer people face in the workplace. And I just really envision the club from like here on out us like learning about that advocacy in different ways. We also plan on working with like the Center for Civic Engagement to try to like go out in the community, like outside of campus, volunteer with like the food bank or volunteer with different centers off campus to make sure that we are doing what we can as a club to help out in the larger Binghamton community. But that's something we really plan on doing to sort of just make sure that people are going out there seeing not only what campus is like, what a college environment is like, but also like what the rest of the world what the rest of the world looks like, and making sure that we are doing the work where we can, essentially.
No, that sounds incredible. I'm looking forward to seeing those opportunities for people.
Thank you.
All plans you want to hopefully do in the spring or even to set up for the next president.
Yes.
Okay, so last question is that what lessons from leading RPU do you hope to kind of carry with you on your own journey?
Yeah, I think, again, I've learned so many things from being president of RPU.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the communication skills and the delegation skills, and also something that I think is not talked about as much with leaders on campus, is like knowing when to say no to certain things or knowing when something is not necessarily your job. Like, I am so thankful to have this like large e-board, and sometimes I will catch myself doing tasks where I'm like, this is not my job, and like this is responsibility that should be given on someone else because it isn't my job, it's not in my job description. So like knowing what essentially my position entails, and also like communicating with people and being empathetic, like where I can be. I think we should always be empathetic towards the people that we lead, because stuff happens, especially in college. Like so much has happened to me over the 4 years that I've almost 4 years that I've been here, and like just trying to make sure that I'm communicating all of the needs for the club, but also communicating that with my e-board members. That is something I hope to carry on. Like as I'm going to pursue my PhD, so like I'm hoping that when I do that, and eventually whatever career I do have in the future, I do hope that my communication skills are like the biggest thing that I want to carry on with me, and also just like learning when to put your foot down versus like not when to put your foot down. You know, there's a difference between someone who is willing to do the work and can just do it versus someone who's willing to do the work but doesn't know where to start.
Right.
So sometimes with those people, like you just need to like put in a little bit more effort with those people, and that's not a bad thing. But just like making sure I also make everyone in my e-board aware of the contribution that they're making and being appreciative of the work that they do. Wherever I am in the future, whether I am in a leadership position or not, I think that we're all leaders in our own way, in our own lives. And so just making sure that I make all those people aware that they're making contributions to this campus, to the world, because of the work that they're doing. And even if they don't see the impact of it now, someone will experience or sort of face the impact of their actions, in the sense that the things that we do now will ripple and will make this campus hopefully a safer environment for students next year, or students in the future, like once I graduate. So yeah, those are just like some of the skills that where I am in the future, I really hope that I carry those on.
I definitely think you will, with ease too, because I've already seen how impactful you are here. There's no doubt you'll do great in the future as well.
Thank you, Nicole.
No, yeah, but thank you so much, Mansha, for being here. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, and that's all. Take care.
Thank you.